December 16th, 2024, St. Clair Shores City Council meeting to order. Abby, please call the roll.
Mayor Walby,
Here.
Councilmember Burgess,
Here.
Councilmember Karen,
Here.
Councilmember Frederick,
Present.
Councilmember Rubello,
Present.
Councilmember Rusi,
Here.
and Councilmember Vitale.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 2 is proclamations, and we have an outstanding service proclamation to hand out. If Mr. and Mrs. Iafredi want to come on up. How are you this evening?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to see you. Very good. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hi. Good. Nice to see you. Stand right here. I'm going to read your proclamation, and then I'm going to have you say a few words. How's that? Okay?
Yep, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for what you've done. That's why you're here. So just to make sure we get it right, we're here to thank you for this. Proclamation of outstanding service to Enyo and Nikki Iafredi. Whereas the Mayor and Council of the City of St. Clair Shores deem it fitting and proper to acknowledge and honor residents who have given generously of their time and talents to our community. The Iafredis have dedicated 29 years to the good fellows and our community and deserve special recognition for their endless contributions. They have organized volunteers from St. Isaac Jogues Parish for the Goodfellows annual paper drive fundraiser in St. Clair Shores and spent many years driving the route, making sure the volunteers had all the equipment and papers needed to make the event a success. Whereas today, Enyon and Nikki, along with their two sons, have started a second generation of Iafredis helping the Goodfellows. 2024 marks the 98th year of the annual Goodfellows paper sale in St. Clair Shores. And Enyo has made a major contributor to the cause for almost a third of that time, with the volunteers from St. Isaac Jogues collecting over $10,000 a year on average. Now therefore be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the City of St. Clair Shores, on behalf of the entire community, wish to express our praise and appreciation to Enyo and Nikki Iafredi for their many years of service to our community, wish them many years of health and happiness with their family, and say thank you for your outstanding St. Clair Shores residents who have gone above and beyond in our community. Thank you so much.
I really don't do a whole lot. Because if it wasn't for all you, all the people from St. Isaac's.
Would you have a bunch of them here out here in the audience?
Mike, Charlie, Jerry, Dan, my kids, Rick, Aaron, and there's probably like 70, but they're not all here. But
And you got some good fellows out here too around the board who came here.
Mike and Steve
and Dwayne.
The thing is, I got bamboozled 29 years ago to do this. I was at the men's club meeting. Yeah, we need somebody to take it over because Dick Murphy's going to retire down the, And I said, sure, I'll do it. I went home and told my wife, she's like, you did? I go, I don't know what I did, but I go, it's a lot of fun. I met a lot of people, great people along the way, and, a lot of guys passed, along the way, and if it wasn't for my kids helping out, I don't think I could do it by myself because they pretty much mastered it, with the collection and everything. And so I thank all you guys
Let me tell you something. You didn't get bamboozled. Sometimes the Lord puts people in the right spot, and He puts you in that right spot because you've been there for 29 years serving our community, and you don't know the people. I don't know the people who you have helped over these 29 years. So thank God for you were there at that time. They put in that spot to serve our
I
community.
wasn't bamboozled,
Yeah, I know you were.
yeah.
St. Isaac's, yeah.
Yes, he was.
So
It's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to it every year, you know?
It's
I
a
really do.
privilege. It is a privilege to be
Yeah.
able to do it.
So-
And thank God for everybody from St. Isaac's, everybody that comes out, donates, and it's been a lot of fun.
good. You're an inspiration. So
Thank
you can see that the people that came on it,
yeah.
are thankful for you, and we appreciate that. Again, St. Clair Shores, the good fellows, I speak on behalf of them. Thank you for all of your work. And 29 years, you're not done. I know it's a long
Oh, yeah,
time, but you're
long way
not
to go.
done. So you're going to keep it. And you know what else is great? It's got to make you feel good in your soul is you pass it on to your children. You know what I mean? You pass it on, that passion, and now you got another generation. And as I see, you might have a third generation coming up. So fantastic. So we got the Ifrades doing good fellows for decades. So thank you so
Long time.
much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay. Crew all staying here from St. Isaac's, or I don't know?
You're not required to.
Yeah, right. So if they're popping out, we'll hold the meeting for a second. Okay, no problem. Thank you.
We noticed.
So, put this over here. Item 3 is audience participation on agenda items, a 2-minute time limit. Abby, do we have any?
Nope.
So item 4 is bids, contracts, purchase orders, request to accept the Federal Port Security Grant Award for the purchase of a new marina boat vessel. We have Chief Allen here, and my understanding here is we got the new deputy chief, right here, Matt McAllister.
Matt?
Soon to be, right? In January. Congratulations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lieutenant Matt McAllister is currently in charge of our Traffic Bureau, and with Deputy Chief Plaza's retirement next month, we had a testing process, and Matt came in first in that, so next month he'll be promoted. So he is the one who wrote this grant for us, and that's what we're asking for approval to accept. Our current Marine Patrol boat is 26 years old. It's a center console, hard-sided. We're looking for a slightly larger boat with rubber sides. Makes it easier for pulling up to other docks or other boats. There have been some major renovations to the boat or repairs. It started off as a 2-engine boat, and now a 1-engine boat, which apparently is less easy to drive or steer, I should say. A new boat, we would look for a twin engine. The total grant was based on an estimate of what the Sheriff's Department boats are. So we just kind of based the numbers that we were looking for on that. You'll see this is a 25% match by the city. We would use DLEF funds for that in the 26 fiscal year. Takes about a year for delivery. In the cover sheet of my packet and the budget impact, it says 276,412 is the number. And then in the recommendations, it says 413. Going through the federal paperwork, the actual number for the 3/4 match is 276,412 and 50 cents. So half of their language uses 412 and half of their language uses 413. So I happen to do the same thing in here. So So that's all I have. Like I said, Lieutenant McAllister wrote this grant for us. He's done it. This is the third year in a row that we've applied. So if there are questions that I can't answer, maybe he can.
And thank you for writing the grant, fantastic. And I think we all know there's more than enough money in the DLEF fund to cover this, so we're good there, right, Chief?
That's right.
Questions? Mr. Rubello?
First of all, thanks for the grant and put your time in to do that. Obviously, we're a lakefront community here and we need something on the water. A lot of areas, you're gonna patrol into the canals and where the restaurants are and that type of thing? Okay, as well as the coastline?
Yeah.
I guess you go from 14 Mile all the way to 8 Mile, the tower? Okay. Who's responsible for like maintenance of it?
Mr. Rubello, can you put your mic on?
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Who's responsible for the maintenance and the cleaning? Is it going to be one of the officers there?
One of the lieutenants basically is in charge of our program, so he handles all of the maintenance, the annual things that need to be done to it. If there are problems with it, he gets it shrink wrapped. He does actually quite a bit of it on his own time. He's a boat owner himself, so he knows the ins and outs.
Are the patrols 7 days a week, 5 days a week?
It will vary. A lot of the money that we use to put the patrol out there is a grant-based funding. So for the
Okay.
overtime that it takes, for the gasoline, for the repairs and such. So it varies by year how much money we get from the government.
Okay, so that's great. That's part of the grant.
It's a separate
Wonderful.
grant.
Separate grant.
Right.
So, I mean, we've had a boat for a while now. Were we using it last year?
Yes.
Okay. I don't remember seeing a lot of it last year, but hey, listen, I think it's a great thing to be on the water and patrolling and that. So I would move to accept the Port Security Grant Award in the amount of $276,413.
412.
And 50 cents.
Where is it at? Oh,
412, he said.
Okay.
Yeah, 412.
All right. To be used toward the purchase of the new Marine Patrol vessel.
Support.
If it ends up being 412, I'll kick in the extra dollar myself.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll
So that
hold
was
you
supported
to
by Mr. Frederick. Ms. Rusi?
Thank you.
Might
So
need it
how
for
often is the
gas.
current boat used?
Do you know how many days are out this year?
I don't know the exact amount of days. I think we had a budget this year with the Stone Garden grant, roughly $12,000 worth of overtime. They also covered $360 worth of the fuel for it. So divide that up based on the amount of overtime hours. That's how much we got it out this year.
I can't do that in my head, so. So, I mean, what type of activities was the boat then used last year for?
Spent a lot of time in the marinas, a lot of the, people with the wake and the jet skiers and those kind of things. This new boat would be easier to board other vessels because of the bumpers on the side that we don't currently have.
How many officers are in the Marine Patrol, I guess, division or whatever you would like to call it?
Nearly half the officers are certified, so I think 38 of the 84 are certified right now.
And what's the other training that goes into this?
Well, this boat would require more training just based on the changes, but any officer that's interested has to be certified and also goes out with the lieutenant, learn the boat and the maneuvers.
They also have to have the Michigan Department of Natural Resources boater safety class and certificate.
Okay. I was going to actually follow up into my next question, which is why I was laughing, is what goes into the certification that they need to be a part of this capacity?
Currently, I
College
think the certification is just an online class, but on top of that, they do have to go out with the lieutenant, the Marine Patrol lieutenant, and make sure that they're certified and able to operate the boat.
Okay, one question I've gotten from a couple of residents is, but don't we have county sheriff boats and don't we have a Coast Guard location right in the city? Why aren't they sufficient enough to cover the need for this type of patrol?
The Coast Guard actually cut their hours drastically this year. They were around the clock, and now they are 40 hours a week. So they don't have their boats out that often. The Sheriff's Department does have boats out, but a lot of the times they're not patrolling through St. Clair shores. They might only have one boat out after 8 o'clock at night, which, you know, we probably wouldn't have it out on a regular basis, but we'd be able to get out quickly.
Hey, how do jurisdictional issues work when you're off the coast? Do you guys have jurisdiction out there?
We have jurisdiction a half mile out
Okay.
from the shoreline. And we work well with the sheriff's office, and when the Coast Guard was here, now Coast Guard would have to respond from their Detroit office, basically, or their helicopters come from Selfridge, so.
Okay, because I had seen like Jobby Nooner referenced in here and other things in the application itself.
In a mutual aid operation, we have assisted with that before. We have trained with the owners of the Ovation and Infinity for emergencies that could happen there. That was part of this as well, to be a high volume target.
And how would you see this new boat? You know, we had talked about previous usage of the existing boat. How do you see this new boat being utilized by the department?
We'll continue to do what we do, but I think it'll be much easier for officers to operate, and it'll be safer for boarding other vessels when you have that soft-sided. I'm not super familiar with boats, so, but it's a softer-sided vessel, so when you pull up next to somebody else, you're not risking that damage to other boats or to docks or pulling into our slip here right behind City Hall.
Okay, and even though this would be a replacement of an existing boat, we could still use the DLEF fund for it. Is that because this would be drug-related? Because I know sometimes you can't use it to replace existing equipment or vehicles, which is why we can't go to it for like new police cars, because that's just replacing existing police cars we have.
Right. This would be an acceptable use. It would be helping for the drug enforcement and potentially border crossing enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vitale.
Yeah, Chief. I see that you are planning to sell the old boat and using the proceeds to offset the cost, which I favor that. Do you have any idea what that might bring?
The lieutenant in charge of the program, again, he's a boat owner. He knows some marina owners and was doing some kind of, I don't know if they have Blue Book for boats, but something similar. We're thinking about $25,000.
Okay, that's a fair amount of money. There's something else I'm going to raise. It's was brought to my attention actually by not from anyone within the city, actually, just someone talking Macomb County with me and some Macomb County training about St. Clair Shores not having a fireboat, the ability to get water quickly onto a fire in a marina or something like that. Is there a possibility to either potentially use the old boat, outfit it with a pump or something, or maybe outfit the new boat with a pump and be able to have fire duties as well? Would that be a possibility, or?
We can certainly take firefighters out on the boat with us, and I know Chief Piper may be seeking some or providing some input to you all as well. When we initially looked into this 3 years ago, there was an option for a water cannon for the deck, the bow deck. That was a fairly significant amount of money for that option, although there have been some major losses in the marinas.
That's why it was brought up to me. Did the amount exceed $25,000?
Yes,
That's a heck of a cannon.
yes.
Okay, well, maybe keep us apprised. It sounds like you've begun discussions, and maybe keep us apprised of a way to get water out into marinas.
Certainly.
Mr. Karen.
Thank you. So is this part of any of the congressional directed spending program? Or is this a standalone grant application?
This is a standalone grant through FEMA.
Okay. And so we've submitted this, but then have we been notified we've been accepted
For
this year?
For this grant?
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Because just some of the verbiage in the grant, because I get in terms of requesting federal help, because, yeah, we have 6 miles of coastline, We're on an international border. So it makes sense, federal government, to help out with this. But some of the things in here of, potential terrorist threats and things like that, it's like, yeah, all right, we can help monitor our border and that with the limited funding we have, and when people go out, this isn't something that we're on demand, right? If we get an immediate call, it's not something people can get right out there on, right?
I
In
don't
terms
see
of
why
how
they
we've been
wouldn't.
operating.
Yeah, I mean, if the boat is moored here, which it has been last few years, I mean, and when the new station's done, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to be out onto that boat quickly.
Have we done it on an emergency basis before? Or just been out on
Paul,
patrol?
there are definitely a few times where it would have been nice to, including a couple of situations this summer.
In terms of,
emergency calls.
okay. Yeah, it's just some of the verbiage. I think it could have been just as effective. Maybe, like, better way of saying, tamping down the rhetoric a little bit, in terms of what was submitted, but, and I do think, in terms of how you described how we're funding the overtime, maybe to get more use out of it, because in terms of mentioning jobbing unit as well, I know the county has jurisdiction, in terms of monitoring that event. They do have other people come in. I actually saw a documentary of the DNR boats helping monitor that event. Perhaps there is reimbursement funding from them if we're helping with the event. They're reimbursing us back, right? Or other programs like that are around for those events and that, so. Yeah, because I do think it's important to be out there patrolling and, especially, enforcing navigable waters a half mile out of our own space, but other things out there are helping out and probably get more use out of it. We're going to be putting this much effort into it, and all the training that goes in and the multiple officers that we have that get trained on it to make sure we get the full use out of it.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Moved by Mr. Rubello, seconded by Mr. Frederick, to award the grant in the amount of, accept the grant in the amount of $276,412. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 7-0. Thank you. Job well done. We appreciate that.
Nicely
Excellent
done.
work. Item 5, consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Karen, supported by Mr. Frederick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 7-0. Thank you. Updates and follow-ups from prior council meetings. Mr. Lent.
Mr. Karen mentioned on page 3-33 of the audit that the 2001 Lake St. Clair Clean Water Initiative bonds are showing up under both government utility types. The debt was split 11.35% governmental funds for road work and 88.65% for sanitary sewer. This was done at the time of the bond issue and determined by Plant Moran based on the usage of the funds. The debt has been reported this way for many years. Ms. Rusi mentioned a typo on the cover sheet, motion for item number 5, and needs to be corrected to PPC 24018. Liz and Abby corrected the typo in both the planning commission meeting and also the council packet. Ms. Rusi asked for clarification in the fee schedule ordinance regarding food/ice cream trucks. The fee schedule should have read ice cream trucks, and that will be corrected. Food trucks are not considered for inclusion at this point. CDI will bring a draft food truck ordinance to council in 2025. Mr. Vitale asked how much money we bring in annually for business licenses. Under the revenue account in 2024, business licenses generated approximately $23,251. Mr. Frederick asked staff to contact the property owner on Harmon regarding the wall in the parking lot at Grobel. Staff has sent the contract information to Grobel's and advised them that a variance from ZBA would be required for any changes to the plan. Mr. Karen asked for an update to the capital improvement plan to remove fiscal year 24, 27, 28 columns, remove all zeros, include construction of the new police and fire building. Ms. Rusi asked for the title to be changed on the front page. Changes are currently being made and will be brought to council in January as the motion indicated.
So on that one,
Yep.
that was part of the motion.
Yes.
Okay. Because the way I'm reading it, it's like, well, those are the changes that are going to come in January. No, we want
That's probably
a full, complete plan starting to come to us in January.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Mr. Karen mentioned the Bryce Park walking path. He requested staff go out and review the path with Hennessy because there is no good solution. Staff is in the process, will review the path with Hennessy. Mr. Erie requested a correction to the punctuation error in the October 7th, 2024 council meeting minutes. Those were done on 12/3/2024. Mr. Frederick asked for a report on the fire marshal regarding inspections, scheduling, number of inspections, timeline, et cetera. The chief is working with the fire marshal to complete that list for the second meeting in January. Mr. Vitale asked if there was any progress with DTE. Right now, we're still waiting. We have the meetings that are still out. We haven't had any meetings since our last meeting with DTE. Mr. Vitale asked if we have any updates on the house with asbestos. A show cause hearing has been scheduled for Monday, January 6, 2025 at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you. Item 7 is comments by individual council members. Ms. Rusi.
Thank you. Well, in keeping with the brief agenda tonight, I will follow up with administration on a few issues behind the scenes, and just wish everyone at home a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And my nephew Logan wants to remind you guys to leave milk and cookies out for Santa. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Karen.
Thank you. A few items. First, Matt and Dustin, I sent an email this weekend. I'll be a little vague about it now, but basically in the bills, there was a payment to a member of a board or commission to do minutes. And I found that a bit disturbing, which is why I sent the email asking why that was the case, because I think all my committees and commissions, I have volunteers doing it, they're not being paid. Or in other cases, we have staff members coming in, if they're at night, staff members being paid overtime to do it. And I don't think we have a consistent policy at all. There are certain minutes, planning, zoning, need to be recorded in a certain way for, legal reasons. I think other ones where we do have staff writing them, we don't have the legal ramifications there. So understanding that, or where staff is writing minutes and is not, and to get an explanation for one payment I saw in terms of what's going on in that group would be appreciated.
Yep.
And another financial thing. So from the audit 2 weeks ago, I'd made a remark of how normally the financial statements change. You get some updates between the financial statements that we get monthly and what ends up in the audit when everything gets rectified. But 3 areas I pulled out, because when I looked at the total general fund number, our statement that through the end of June that we received on August 19th had total general fund expenditures of $44,285,000. The audit had $45,723,000. So that's almost like $1.5 million more in expenditures in the audit versus our financial statement, which is larger variance than I've seen in the past. So then I'm looking at 3 individual departments, and so this is the question asking staff to follow up on. So in terms of, actually, right, from a finance standpoint, 3 largest financial departments. Police had a statement, or in the August 19th statements, $12,155,000. Audit had $12,753,000. So that's almost $600,000 more. Fire had $767,000 in the August statements. The audit had $8,269,000, over $600,000 more. Court had $2,644,000 in the statement. Audit had $2,962,000. That's $318,000 more. So basically what I'd like is just an explanation to investigate of what the major moves were, especially since all those 3 departments are largely personnel. And that's one of the things Ally says, that they looked at payroll as a large expense, so they didn't look at the smaller expenses. So to understand where these variances are coming from, so we have some assurances in the financial statements that in terms of what we're getting is being accurately tracked. Okay, thank you. And so last thing I want to thank, beautification, we had our year-end Christmas holiday potluck last Wednesday, and basically all the members of the commission there and volunteers. So great job by all of them throughout the entire year, helping out with all the flower beds and landscape beds throughout the city and putting all the wreaths up around the city for the Christmas holiday. So greatly appreciate all their hard work.
For sure. Looks great.
And in terms of Historical Society, you're going to see some flyers coming out. Stephanie, the library director, as she's been going through stuff, she's finding all sorts of wonderful things that were hidden in that library.
Fantastic.
We found basically, I want to say like over 100 sets of historical prints that someone did at some time. But basically, they're line drawing prints of historical images of St. Clair Shores. So the Historical Society is going to be selling those from the Selinsky Green Farmhouse during their hours, which is 1 to 3, or 1 to 4 on Wednesday, 1 to 4 on Saturday. But they're really cool. We had them at the meeting. Each of them were like yay big, and just kind of like a cool thing to have in that. So I'll get the flyers, and the PDFs were just done over the weekend, so I will get those around, but the Historical Society is going to be selling those. But it'd be kind of a little cool thing to have around. And also on that, I wanted to thank the library staff for the lecture they had last weekend as part of everything else going on in the city about the sunken settlements of Lake St. Clair. And really went into detail regarding St. Felicity and Belvedere, the settlement that basically ended up getting flooded out once they created the shipping channel. And it was an hour lecture, very detailed, went into a lot of history of the area. And the gentleman, the professor from Wayne State that gave the lecture, he was a part of the documentary Macomb County did, and did say that they are going back out there again this summer to try to do some more archaeological searching for the historical sites that are out there. And St. Felicity, he's saying there's Lance Cruz Middle School. So if you go straight out from Lance Cruz Middle School, that's where St. Felicity is. And that, so. I know we had some heated discussion at a luncheon one day about where it exactly was. He knows where it's at, knows where it's buried. This professor's pretty confident he knows where it's at, so.
I appreciate you confirming that, Mr. Karen.
There's no way it's there.
And with that, everyone have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Mr. Frederick.
Thanks. So there were many of us at that luncheon discussing this in detail. So, by the way, were those prints signed by anybody?
They are, but I don't remember the name.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to take a peek at that. So,
Yep.
a couple things for Dustin for your list. This just came up on my little come-up file. I know we missed the SAFER grant last year, so I'm hoping that, I think March is the magic date for that, if I'm not mistaken. March to early April. So I just want to make sure that we're on top of that. And to actually talk about this behind the scenes a little bit about, what we should be asking for. And then the AFG grants, did we miss that window? Is that?
It's around now is when it usually happens.
Okay. All right. Well, if we can check into that and figure out if there's something we should be putting in for that too. So let's talk a little library, since you brought up the library. So you can join fellow readers in the library reading lounge on December 18th for a patron-led group devoted to reading exactly what you choose. Meet at 6:30, grab a seat, socialize or not, with other readers, possibly share what you're reading. It's BYOB, and that means bring your own book. Bring your own book. Silent reading will be from 7 to 8 p.m. No registration is required. Children ages 1 to 3 and their caregivers are invited to drop in playtime at the library on December 19th and January 4th. That's going to be from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Come and have fun and meet new friends. No registration either. The library has a few more spots open for our Maker Space Hour on December 19th at 6. This program is largely self-guided, allowing participants to explore their creative pursuits independently or in small groups. Registration is required and can be done by phone, in person, or online. And registration for the upcoming Makerspace Hour on January 6th at 6 p.m. starts December 23rd. Teens are invited to a teen volunteer session to assist the youth services librarians with program preparation on December 21st, and that's at 10 a.m. Registration is required, and that starts the 16th. The St. Clair Shores Public Library will be hosting Trivia Afternoon on January 15th at 2 p.m., same as Trivia Night, but with a bit more natural light. Teams of 4 will test their knowledge of an array of trivia questions. Registration is required, and participants may register individually or as a group, and that starts today for registration. And you can do that by phone or in person, either way. And then I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and then a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and a happy and healthy New Year. And Linda, thanks for the chocolates. I remember those from last year. I do remember that they were very tasty.
Don't let any kids get a hold of them.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that in there. And then, Mr. Deacon, thanks for the cookies. Appreciate that. And then, hey, Mom, we had a good day making cookies, so thanks for your hard work and all the love that went into the cookies that you brought by. Here, I'll hold this one up.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank Mrs. Frederick. And seriously, most of us up here look forward to them every year, so we do appreciate it.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
That's awesome. Well, she looks forward to making them, and she gets a few extra hours with me because of that, I think, so that's her MO. Oh, and
Still not allowed to touch the press?
not allowed to touch it. Although she did let me paint the oil on it this time, the vegetable oil, so. And Dwayne, too. Thanks. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Vitale.
Yeah, I'll pick up where Ron led off on the cookies there. Thank you, Mrs. Frederick, for the cookies. We had a spirited debate if it's Pretzel or Pretzelis. When we're using the plural, I also want to thank, I'm going to thank Mrs. Deacon, because it's her return address on this cookie bag, Mr. Deacon.
Oh, boy.
And you too, Linda, for the chocolates. And I'll just keep it short tonight and wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Ms. Burgess.
Thank you. Mike. I just want to do a very quick announcements. I know everybody would love to get out of here early tonight. There is a New Year's Eve bash at the VFW, and our VFW DJ asked me to make the announcement tonight. It is, of course, New Year's Eve from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. There is no cover, cash bar. Outside munchies are welcome. You can bring your own snacks if you like. There'll be dancing, music, trivia, the music of the 60s through the 90s, and there's no cover. So come out and join them. It'll be a good time. I was really excited to be a part of the Goodfellas Paper Drive this year, and really enjoyed all the people that almost hit me. Had a really good time. I was actually right in front of here at the, right out in front of City Hall here, and it was a freezing day, but I enjoyed all of the camaraderie at the end over at St. Lucy's and the delicious chili that we had. So I thank everybody that was a part of that and the money that was raised. And lastly, for the announcements part, the Waterfront Environmental, that's one of the committees that I'm on, is excited to announce a deadline extension for the 2024-2025 Student Awards Scholarship. They're offering $500 scholarships for outstanding high school juniors and seniors. It's open to all students who live or attend high school in St. Clair Shores and have participated in projects of the Waterfront Environmental Committee. There is a group award for student groups that have developed and presented environmental projects to the committee. You can go online for the application. It's www.scswec.org for the application, or phone number 586-980-5844. The deadline is Monday, the 13th of January. And it's pretty easy, just a brief, to apply a brief description about your interests and future goals, a letter of recommendation from a teacher or a civic leader, list of your environmental projects, answer to at least 4 out of 6 questions about Lake St. Clair. And why apply? It's a fantastic opportunity to gain financial support for the education while contributing to the environmental stewardship in our community. I will say this, if anybody is interested, they have not received any applications as of yet. That's why they've extended this. It's $500. And go on the website again. It's www.seswec.org and apply. It'll be an easy one if no one else has done it so far. Also, just want to say how beautiful our Blossom Heath Tunnel of Lights is. We were out there a couple times already this year, keep inviting people and meeting them out there and having a great time. Saw Santa, and the kids are just excited about it, and just had a really good time this last weekend there. So come out and enjoy it. It is one of the highlights. I mean, they're busting them in from other communities. People are coming out there to see it. I think what we have here at St. Clair Shores is extraordinary, and just want everybody to enjoy it. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year, and have a safe and joyful holiday.
Thank you. Mr. Rubello.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I got a chance to meet Santa Claus a few times at the Blossom Heath. A lot was going on there, even despite the cold weather. It was great. I first of all, want to wish everybody out there who's listening a safe and happy Christmas and holiday season. Ron, you brought up your mother's cookies. I remember, unfortunately, I mean, my mom's still alive, but she's incapable of doing this stuff anymore, and it sort of brings back good memories. So, I guess anyone out there that, has sick or elderly people, pay special attention to them during the holiday season, because they're not always here. And when they start to go, there's nothing you can do to bring them back sometimes mentally, and that's basically where my mom is. So
Mine too.
She used to make those by the ton.
Yeah.
So I want to thank all the committees and the commissions that make the city tick and run, especially the Dog Park Committee, the Parade Committee. Those are a few of them. Senior Activities Committee, those are a few of them that I'm a representative for, a council representative. So thanks for all the time you spend doing those things. It adds up. And I want to thank everyone up here. We spend a lot of time together. I think we all try to get the city moving in a forward direction. Sometimes we don't go in the same direction all the time, but I think at the end we like to meet up at the end to try to make this a better town. Last thing I wanted to talk about, Denise, if you could come up here for a second, I appreciate it. I had a situation pop up over the last few days, and because of ignorance, because of I don't exactly know the rule. I don't think everybody up here knows the rule. Maybe a few do. If we get calls, and I'm not going to go into addresses, I'm not going to go into names, but how do we know if a home is on sort of, because we get I guess, let me back up from the beginning. We get a lot of calls as council people about potential ordinance violations, okay? So a lot of times we just get them and we move them on without knowing who's there, what we're doing, if the house has in fact been already looked at. Mm-hmm. There was a situation that's happened over, I guess, the course of the last month for me, and we've had complaints from the residents that are on the street about cats. It could be anything. It could be, cats or dogs. I guess it really doesn't matter. So if somebody's got cats at their house and they're calling us up, and in this case, somebody sends me a picture of a dead cat, sends me a picture of ground feeding out in front, how is Dave Rubello to know that that house is okay because it's been sort of a haven for, and we have a person up here, she can talk about it later because she knows much more than I about it. How am I supposed to know, before I turn in anything, that house is sort of on I guess it's not really on a list, but how do I know what it is? How do I know what I'm turning in?
So, Councilman, I think you and I are both going to learn more about this situation. The ordinance does provide that unrestrained animals shall be confiscated by a law enforcement officer or the animal control officer and impounded in an animal shelter, and there be confined in a humane manner. This shall not apply to cats who are cared for as part of a trap, neuter release or trap shelter release program. The house in question was cited by our code enforcement for ground feeding and for wild animals. I, at the time, and I believe that our code enforcement supervisor did not know that this home had been part of a trap, neuter release program. And in learning more about that, I believe that that home is in fact part of a trap, neuter release program. The situation, as I understand it, is that sometimes you can tell by the animals themselves, perhaps their ear has been clipped. I really am not personally familiar. I know there is someone in our office who is familiar, but I'm not familiar with how we would in fact identify that it's a trap, neuter release. So I look forward to learning more about that myself.
Yeah, I believe there has to be something done about what's going to trigger the, oh, that house, that's okay at that house. Because I have no idea that, recently I turned a house in, right? Some of the neighbors are complaining, so I turned the house in. Then I find out later on that, well, I probably really shouldn't have turned that house in because it has, some special circumstances. But of course, it has to be, it has to follow the rules too, right? Of ground feeding and all that type of stuff. Then we just get pictures and we don't know if there was ground feeding, who did what to the animals. I have no idea. I just want to keep the animals safe.
Right.
And warm as much as you can do in the wintertime. I mean, I know there's limits and stuff, but.
I would welcome, and I welcome obviously all of council and any resident to send concerns to community development and have code enforcement address them. I think in this case, there has been some unwarranted attention placed on that home, and it is causing the homeowner to feel threatened.
Okay, well, that shouldn't happen.
And that should never happen. No, that should never happen. So, but again, I was not aware that this was part of a program. Our code enforcement supervisor was not aware that it was part of a program. It wasn't until today when I received communication and then someone in our office actually spoke with a member of Four Paws, One Heart, that we realized that that was the situation with this particular house.
Yeah,
So-
I guess going forward, and it goes for me anyways, I would hope it goes for everyone else, that if this happens, that as soon as we call and they want to, I guess not as soon, but if they go look up the property, that a phone call would come back saying X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the process needs to be streamlined or redefined in situations like this, but again, I think that it is something that I myself need to learn more about how to identify a property like that, or where would I go?
Yeah, I know, there's homeless cats and dogs, and I don't throw them out in the cold. I don't think anybody up here wants to throw them out in the cold.
Right.
So, anyways, that was my question for you. Everybody, Merry Christmas. Move forward.
Thank you.
And Mayor, one other thing. Thanks for leading us wonderfully this year. Okay, you did a great job.
Thank you.
In that guy's in that thing's in. You can have him go look out there, okay? Because he's in the wrong spot.
He had a map. That's evidence.
Thank you. Item 8 is city manager's report.
I am going to plead the fifth on being at that lunch, and I have no report.
Item 9 is audience participation. It's a 5-minute time limit. Views and opinions expressed under audience participation are those of the individual citizen only and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of the mayor, city council, administration of the city of St. Clair Shores. Do we have anyone who would like to speak? Okay, Mr. Deacon, you can be first. Maria second. Ma'am, you can be third. If you'd all get up and sign in there, and we'll take you in order. Mr. Deacon, why don't you speak first, and then you can sign in after, and that'd be great. And thank you. I just echo what they said. Thank you to your lovely wife for making the cookies. Appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Deacon.
She made me bring them.
Thank you.
Said if you're going over to that council meeting, you better take some sweet rather than the sour that you usually carry. So it was our idea. As you all are aware, I was very disturbed when I received this. A
Hold the clock for a minute.
color
Hold the clock.
page.
It's just, you're Mr. Deacon and you live in St. Clair Shores?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if you said that. We need to say your name and where you live. Okay, Abby.
Unfortunately, while I expressed my displeasure with the cost of an item like this, I received no comment from anybody. So I guess y'all don't care how we spend extra money on a piece of paper that could be white with black print and save a whole lot of money. I would really like to know why. Maybe somebody will come up with an answer. The other thing was you all talked about the licensing fees at the last meeting, and I was intrigued that there was concern expressed that we're going to increase one fee from whatever it was to $400, and that's a tremendous increase, but it wasn't even going to cover the cost. So, but that was for new people applying for that license, not people that already have the license. So I think we've got to think about what we're doing. And we got to cover the expenses somehow. I mean, we've got healthcare operations up and down Mac and Harper, and I'm paying for a service that they should pay for. I made a suggestion. My suggestion was, rather than a license fee, ask those people to register so that the police and fire know who to get a hold of if they see there's a break-in or a fire at a specific location where the people that are in that structure are renting. They're not the owner of the structure or the building. They may want to try and recover whatever they can or identify what happened. Well, this was taken, that was taken. That got burned up. So that's an alternative. Make it voluntary. Register. Charge them $25 to put their name on a computer list so that at least we know how to get a hold of people. It's not restrictive. That's all I thought. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And I brought the stars and the moon. The sun was already busy tonight, so I couldn't bring that. Have a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday.
You too. Thank you. Yes, your name and your city reside in, please.
Maria Martinez, 21001 East 11 Mile Road, the landing strip house, as Councilman Vitale refers to it. So I wanted to speak on something, obviously, that Councilman Robello brought up relative to our TNR program here in the city. First, let me say I'm very proud to live in a community that has this program, and in fact, we are the pioneers of this program, and Dearborn recently is following suit, as we saw in the news a few days ago. I do agree that education is a big part of what we need to do to make this program even more successful. We utilized it years ago when we were trying to control rodents throughout the city during, construction and sewer replacements and things of that nature. Part of what I think happened here, there is an isolated case that, and probably, let me rephrase it, there's probably not an isolated case in this particular situation that we are both talking about. I imagine there are many colonies that are overgrown throughout the city. Many reasons for that. I live right on 11, a few houses away from abandoned or empty home that currently has a, feral cat colony that is very much overgrown. Myself and my neighbors have been working the program along with 501Cs, including Four Paws, One Heart that is here locally, but also with the KG Foundation in Harrison Township. We usually reach out to them, they help, they come, they help us trap, transport, spay, neuter, we return the cats to the colony. If they're kittens, we typically try to adopt them. They're a little bit easier to adopt if they are not already too feral. So one of the things we have to remember, these are feral cats that are usually not adoptable. And that is because they have had no socialization, they've been supported out in the wild. We have encouraged that in this community to support community cats. Now, in this particular case, this is almost a 90-year-old woman who really, in my opinion's only crime was having a heart, like myself, who are feeding these cats. I have the resources and the ability to engage the right people to come and help me, keep that population under control. But I welcome them because not long ago, I reached out to Councilman Vitale about a rodent situation that was 3 doors behind me, which was very evident that it was a bad situation. Luckily for me, these cats actually have helped rid our, neighborhood from some rodents that we don't want or in my barbecue grill per se. And so that's what happened to me personally about a month and a half ago. But I have been working with this particular senior, as well as Four Paws, One Heart, as well as KG Foundation last year. We also worked the house over on 11 Mile because many of those cats are now, residing on my property as well. But what I think people have to understand, the education piece of this is that the program, although it is great in concept, the realities are these rescues are overwhelmed. They don't have the money. They don't have the volunteers. And if we were to catch all of those cats and even have this great idea of rehoming them, it doesn't exist. We don't have the ability to get them in to be spayed and neutered right now. There are 3-month backlogs. The funding, even though it's available currently to assist this resident, who also, by the way, donates thousands to help, make this happen, we don't have the ability, even if I caught 10 of them, where am I going to take them this week to be spayed, neutered, and then released? And so these are challenges that all communities and all rescue groups are facing currently. So what I proposed to Councilman Burgess earlier today, I believe that this body, this community is all about understanding and solutions that are inclusive. So if I were a neighbor over there, I probably wouldn't be happy either. It's a little bit much. Her colony is overgrown, no doubt about that. I think we all acknowledge that. But the solution isn't being punitive to a 90-year-old lady. She's been loaded up with violations as recent as today, for cement today, not even about a cat or feeding. She doesn't crown feed, she feeds within the garage. However, those things can be debated later. The real solution is how do we help her? How do we get that population under control and do it humanely? Somebody is poisoning the animals, unfortunately, and wildlife that are getting access to the poison. Thus, the bodies all over the street. This isn't this 90-year-old's, fault. This is somebody who took it into their own hands to control the population. That being said, my proposal to Councilman Burgess is that we expand our TNR program through the Animal Welfare Committee. We engage 2-3 times a year, multiple agencies to help us throughout the city, isolating different areas where populations are overgrown, setting up, a day or whatever with All About Animals or the county to transport them all, getting the volunteers together to help assist with this. And the other thing would be, we would do it similarly like we do cleaning up the lake, right? So I would
you.
like to continue working with the Animal Welfare Committee and ask everybody for some understanding.
Maria, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Your name and the city you reside in.
Hi, my name is Molly Scanlon Donaldson. I'm a new resident to the city. I moved in about 3 years ago.
Alrighty.
I also work here part-time in the city, which I love at Gaudino's.
Oh, great.
I've waited, I think, I know most of you. I also work full-time in Detroit, and I am the facility manager in a manufacturing plant that is pretty well-known, and it's pretty big. I deal with a lot of different things, but I've never had to deal with anything like my cat problem. Had I known it was so severe, I would have never bought my house. It is beyond. Trap, neuter, and release sounds like a beautiful, wonderful program, but I can speak as a neighbor, it does not work for me. I have to clean up so much cat on the daily, it's ridiculous. My cat who lives inside, it is beyond what he has to put up with. This is not working. We have tried to go through the city, we have tried to go through Macomb County, animal, whatever it is. It is not working. I don't know, 4 paws, whatever it is this I don't know what it is. Is it just a group of people who are trying to get together to help somebody? Because we have a difference between somebody with mental illness, as that lady obviously has, and a person with a good heart. She can be both. But just because she has a good heart doesn't allow her to continue to perpetuate animal abuse, because that's what it is. Straight up. She's feeding these cats out of her garage, her front porch, and her backyard. I know because I see it. I live directly across the street. My house smells like a litter box. I'm telling you right now, I would never have bought that house. And I'm ashamed at the way the city is reacting. We are not victimizing an old lady. I'm sorry she's old, but she is victimizing us. You need to take us serious because cats are now being poisoned. Not from us. I don't know what's going on. But somebody just bought the house next door, and I believe that the people who lived in there before also had a mental illness. So now we have just a firestorm. It's on social media. You cannot continue to stick your head in the sand on this, because the media is going to get a hold of this story, and it's not going to look good for St. Clair Shores. You need to take care of this. We have a mentally ill woman who is abusing animals. I love animals.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gina Burris. I'm a resident on the same street. I have called, I'm in the city too, I work in the city at Associated Orthopedics. I also run the Buy Nothing group for the city. My parents have lived on the block for 30 years. I grew up on Rosebriar. I bought the house 5 years ago, and it's just gotten worse, the cat problem. I also, like Molly said, she's cleared up a lot of it. I also have 2 cats in my house. They are never mean. They are redirecting their aggression on me to where I have to maybe put my cat down because of all the strays now. That's an issue, that I have to put mine down because I come home and 5 cats are scattered all over my lawn, harassing my cats that are inside. I have called animal control multiple times. They have went out to the houses multiple times. November 20th was the last one, and they stated that they are doing everything that they're supposed to be doing with citations, giving her citations, and St. Clair Shores is dismissing them. So if they're doing their job, and they said St. Clair Shores is not doing their job by following the rules that you guys are implementing in place. So the last thing that animal control told me was on that thing, I got a FOIA request, and it stated that they handed it over to St. Clair Shores now.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
They handed it over to St. Clair Shores. They're not going to come out anymore due to the cats because they gave so many citations and they're not doing anything. Again, we know that she's older. I've been there. Like I said, I grew up in that house 30 years. My parents lived there. She had a sister. She passed away. They've always had cats. They always fed them. Now the colony is huge. The problem is that these kittens are having kittens. So the TNR program, it is great. Coming once a year is not going to solve this because the kittens can get pregnant at 4 months. So they're having kittens upon kittens, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Nothing's going to end unless cats are removed. I personally have TNR cats. I had 2 litters myself. I can take the kittens and get them homes. I've socialized them with ferals. I've done a lot with them, but we're not attacking a 90-year-old lady. I mean, I work with seniors all day. This has nothing to do with her age by far. We just want it fixed. It's a big, huge problem for us. Feces is everywhere. The kids cannot play on their lawns. Our neighbor's afraid to get pregnant. The new neighbor that just moved in, they might be selling the house now due to the cat problem. He has an addition in his backyard. There's multiple kittens hiding underneath there. We need to try to trap them. He's thinking about moving because his wife is allergic. But again, we can't even walk on our lawns. We're picking up tons of feces daily. We just want them obviously she can't take care of them. She's 90, so she can't do the trap and release. So she has to depend on companies to do it. And nobody's really doing it. It's just getting worse. So we just want St. Clair Shores to kind of help us and figure out what we can do with all these cats before it gets 10 times worse, because these kittens are having kittens. There's possums now that are in the backyard, and they are feeding off kittens. We got brought up to us Saturday that there's 2 large kittens because All About Animals came and rescued 2 kittens and a cat and took them and told us about the possums and the dead kittens that are in the shed that she's feeding. She does hide the bowls. We see it. I live directly across the street as well, so we see it daily. But we just want it fixed so it doesn't keep going.
I understand the concerns. Thank you. Anyone else? We will go back to Mayor's comments before we go into closed session. I just have a couple thank yous. We had the tree lighting on December the 5th. I want to thank Activities Committee. It was an excellent turnout. I appreciate all the effort they do and the number of events that they have. They're just always well attended. And Nautical Nights of Lights, thank you to Tifa for this will be year 4, I believe, that they have been doing this. Saturday had to be the largest crowd, I think, and I go down there quite often. I think it was the largest crowd I have ever seen. I think Mr. Spinazzola would say the same thing. It was just gigantic down there. They were parking at Colony Marine and walking, so it's a great success. The other thank you is to the Parks and Rec there. They keep the fires going. We had a little issue with our the gas fireplaces, got them fixed, though they were up and running this week. So, but they're always there's a lot of effort there, a lot of work there to get that garbage and take care of issues, because there's always issues. So thank you, Rob, for Parks and Rec over there, Brandon and Nino. And I think it was the 29th of November when someone hit the clock. We are in process with the insurance company, so hopefully we'll have a little bit more information on the first of the year, but we are working so that we will see French Claim Road clock back there on Harper. So we're working on that. And I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And with that, we will request to meet into closed session as permitted by state statute MCL 15.268, Section 8E.
So moved.
Support. Moved by Mr. Kieran, supported by Mr. Frederick. Roll call vote. Abby.
Councilmember Karen.
Aye.
Councilmember Frederick.
Aye.
Councilmember Burgess.
Aye.
Councilmember Rubello.
Aye.
Councilmember Rusi.
Aye.
Councilmember Vitale.
Aye.
And Mayor Walby.
Aye. Good night.